Hello and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Janetta and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube live or later and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now, here's Reverend Cheryl.
Hello, 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 and thank you, Johnetta, for that wonderful introduction. So glad that everyone is here this morning. I want to say hello to everyone who's currently in the Zoom room, and for those of you watching on YouTube, whether you're watching live or later, so happy to have your energy here with us as a part of Unity of Fredericksburg. Our broadcast date today is Sunday, April the 14th. And this month, our annual theme for Unity of Fredericksburg, for those of you who might be new, our annual theme for 2024 is well-being, and our focus for April is environmental well-being. So we started talking about that last week and about kind of the different levels of environment in which we live and move and have our being. And the closest level of environment for all of us is our consciousness, right? Our thoughts, our feelings, that's our inner environment. Then we have our outer environment of our physical body. Then we have the kind of indoor living space where we spend time resting and rejuvenating and feeding ourselves and all of that. And then, of course, beyond to the space immediately outdoors, to the wonderfulness of the earth and the amazing expanse of the universe itself. So there's a lot of environment for us to talk about. And we had a lot of that big scope environment that was on display for us this past week with the eclipse. So I have an eclipse story for you, my friends. I saw this story in a couple of places, so you might have heard it also. So in 1978, Patrick Moriarty of Rochester, New York, was teaching his high school science class about solar eclipses, explaining their trajectories, the path of totality, and other details. And the class looked up upcoming eclipses that would pass over their hometown. Hey, circle that one on April 8th, 2024, Moriarty told his students. We're going to get together for that one. And every new group of 17-year-olds that came through his classroom got that same promise. And the years went by, and Moriarty realized in 2022 that he was getting close to that 2024 eclipse. So he set up a Facebook group and went about tracking down all his students to invite them to an eclipse reunion. And he didn't expect a huge response after 46 years, but hundreds of his former students answered the invitation, and he created an eclipse reunion. He hired a local pizza shop to cater the event and bought just hundreds of eclipse glasses, and people came from all over the country, with at least one of his students expressing, "This has got to be the longest homework assignment ever." So eventually the moon passed over the sun, but the spectacular stargazing couldn't eclipse the moment shared between people bound by a decades old promise. So isn't that a fun story about gazing at the eclipse? And that's what I think was wonderful about that event. Whether or not you were in the path of totality or you traveled to be there, it's just people coming together. It might just be a couple people in your neighborhood or at your house, but that opportunity to witness something that is bigger and beyond all of us, setting aside all of our differences about, I think this, you think that, whatever, and having a look at the movement of the universe. It's a reminder of the power in everything. And that's my title for today, that happens beyond the scope of our human vision, right? You have to wear special glasses to witness it, right? You can't see it with your human eyes. So those of us who have a tendency to be in that mode of judging things with our human eyes miss the whole thing, right? Here, where we're in Central Virginia, if you were just looking with your bare eyes, well, it didn't seem like much was going on at all. You had to put on your special viewing glasses to see the wonder that was actually happening right there, because your human eyes couldn't see it. So we all have special glasses. That's our spiritual vision, right? We all have that capacity. So when you look with your spiritual eyes from the perspective of your divine nature, the beauty and the power in everything is there all along. The question is, will you make the effort to see it? Or will you stay in your human eyes, in your ego mind, judging everything that's going on around you? And this question of, am I going to be in my human nature or am I going to be in my divine nature? This comes up every day, all the time. You have that choice. This is what we call pivotal consciousness. So we have our human nature that we are in 100% all the time. You're in this human body, you're having this human experience. And we also know that there's something beyond that. We have our divine nature. We are 100% in our divine nature all the time. And the operation here is pivoting our focus from our human eyes, where we go, there's not much going on out here with this eclipse, to having our special glasses on, our spiritual vision on. When you open yourself to witness the power in everything, you will see more, realize more, feel your connection with all that is. Now it's easier for us to feel that one presence when we see, for example, images from the James Webb Telescope from outer space. Oh, it's easy to kind of feel that oneness and that power of all that is. It's easier to feel a part of the one power when we experience wonderful things like the ocean or a mountain range or a newborn baby, whether it's a puppy or a human baby. We don't need to put on our special glasses to witness that. But my question for today is, do you perceive yourself with that same passion, with that same connection, with that same sense of potential? I suspect that some of you will be going, no, not really. And then I need to ask, why not? It's all the same. We're all made of the same stuff as stars, and it's all expressions of oneness. It's all sacred. It's all powerful, including you sitting in your seat, listening to this message. Here's a quote from Ernest Holmes from Thoughts Are Things. There is nothing in the universe that limits you or could desire to limit you. There is nothing in the universe that withholds from you because in doing so, it would withhold from itself. You are part of its purpose. Spirit seeks, urges, and pushes you to fulfill itself. And yet we do limit ourselves, right? We see ourselves as only human. We see all the good stuff when we have our special glasses on, if we're in prayer, if we're doing our spiritual work. And then as soon as we get in traffic, we forget, right? As soon as we think there's not enough people, not enough money, not young enough, not smart enough, we forget. So why does this happen? Why do we forget our divinity? Well, part of it is the way the human brain is wired. So the ego, the personality asks the question, do I fit in? Will I have what I need? Do I have enough? And the brain, the human brain, guides us by sorting things into piles: good, bad, useful, discard, on my team, against me, sorting things out. So our brains are wired for duality consciousness, not oneness consciousness. So as soon as we look around without our special glasses on, we forget our divinity. Now, just a reminder, I'm not talking about the literal glasses anymore, right? I'm talking about our spiritual framework, our divine identity, our true higher self. So this dance that we do as humans is nothing new. This toggling between our human nature and our divine nature, this has been the challenge for humanity all along. And that's why human history is filled with teachers who remind us, right? That's why there's scripture in many languages, many formats to remind us of the one presence and the one power. And that's why humans are always seeking the divine, creating belief systems to name the divine and describe the divine. We know it's there. We know it is our true nature. So we want to talk about it. We want to sing about it. We want to feel it, be aware of it on our human level and not be in that space of forgetting. So no matter how crude the perception, no matter how primitive the religious rite, everyone is searching for that divine that we know is present. And our awareness of our own divine nature is key to our sense of environmental well-being at the very most personal individual level in our consciousness. That sense of what we are in truth is the core of our inner environment, our consciousness. And the more that we are in our spiritual practice, the healthier our inner environment is going to be. So if we're going to go about without our special glasses, without seeing through the lens of truth and spirit at the forefront, then what happens is, if we're not keying into that on a regular basis, what we sense is limitation, right? Oh, I can't do that. I'm too old. There's not enough money, that kind of thing. If we're based in our sense of well-being and what our human eyes see, what we sense is lack, not enough, not enough of this or that. So what can we do? What can we do to more regularly remind ourselves, keep our eyes on the prize of being in that space of our own divine awareness? One thing is to keep an eye out for a red flag that you can keep an eye out for as you're going through your days. A sign that you've forgotten your special glasses is if you find yourself in duality thinking, right? So if you find yourself thinking in terms of us and them, or me and them, me and that person, then you are in duality thinking. There is, in truth, no us and them. There is only one presence and one power. So, yes, we can have challenges with other people, and it is possible to hold space for other people, hold space for their divine nature, even when you don't agree, even when you're not interacting with them directly. You can see the truth of what they are with your spiritual glasses on. So if you are feeling as if you have an adversary, whether that's a health condition, the government, your neighbor, whatever it is, you are creating duality in your consciousness. The only adversary you have is in your own judgment, is in your own mind. So whenever anything that feels adversarial shows up in your consciousness, clean it up, forgive it, let it go. And there are lots of methods that we can use to do that. We're going to use one of those in our meditation today when we get there. So I'll give you an example. I like to give you a tool of like how we do this. So the one thing to remember, the only thing you have control over, my friends, is your own thoughts and your own feelings. So if you feel like someone has betrayed you, affirm oneness. If you feel someone has hurt you, affirm oneness. If it exists in your mind, you have the power to clean it up. So this cleaning of our consciousness is an ongoing process, right? As we go about our human lives, bump into each other, make mistakes. Oops, I'm sorry. This is an ongoing process. It's not like one and done. So be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. All right. Human society is filled with dualistic examples, particularly American society, dualistic stories, legends of betrayal, heroes fighting for the right, evildoers getting what they deserve. It's all around us. So don't be hard on yourself when you find yourself engaging in that kind of pattern. Just be aware. Notice, try to catch yourself and know that you have the power to clean up your consciousness. And it's so important for you to do this work, because when you engage in and harbor dualistic thinking, it erodes your sense of well-being. It rubs off on you, friends. It takes away your awareness. It limits you. And as we go through the phases of our lives, we kind of get a better handle on how to manage these things. We maybe aren't as reactive as we were when we were younger. Here's a wonderful quote that I found from Richard Rohr from his book, Falling Upward. The task of the first half of life is to create a proper container for one's life and answer the first essential questions. What makes me significant? How can I support myself? And who will go with me? The task of the second half of life is to quite simply to find the actual contents that this container was meant to hold and deliver. And let me tell you, friends, the actual content that you were meant to hold and deliver is love. And you can't deliver love from a container that's based in duality, in opposition. You can only deliver love from a basis, a foundation of oneness. Just like Jesus said, the Father and I are one. And he wasn't talking about himself as an exception, because he immediately turns it around and says, you are a part of the one, not just him. So, and he didn't qualify that by saying the Father and I are one, except for that person over there who was mean to me. He didn't say the Father and I are one, except when the doctor says I have a disease or the bank says I don't have enough money. The Father and I are one all the time. So If you are looking around and seeing lack, put on your special glasses and see the truth. If you're judging yourself or your life as not enough this or that, put on your spiritual glasses and see truth. There is one divine, omnipresent mind everywhere present, including where you are. This presence and power is undivided, which means that all of it is where you are, not just a portion of it. In the words of Unity Minister Eric Butterworth, the center of this power is everywhere, and its circumference is nowhere. Let me say that one more time. The center of this power is everywhere, and its circumference is nowhere. So this thing that we call God is more than just some cosmic concept. It's more than a big, brilliant goodness. It is the vibration of life pulsating with color. It is unity, wholeness. The urge of the divine is to express itself in all things. God is the essence of all good, and it expresses itself in you and me and every cell of all creatures in the planets, the stars, and the universe. After all, it's a universe, a one verse. Our spiritual journey is about a return to this truth. This path, the soul uniting our consciousness with the invisible, inevitable, eternal, it is vital in our reverence of all things that you do not exclude yourself from that. All right, when you are splendid of spirit, mind, and body, and you reveal your heart, God is radiating its glory. Spirit is joyful, and when you accept yourself as a pure expression of this one life, you take on this consciousness through prayer, through meditation, through time in the silence, and by your reverence of all life, your own unique life reflects that radiance of that which we call God. So watch yourself, catch yourself, and do what you can when you're out there in your human life. Do what you can to notice and clean up your consciousness, right? Your personal spiritual environment is framed by your understanding of oneness. If you believe in an opposite, you will experience opposition. If you believe in oneness, you will experience oneness. Back to that example about the circumference and the center. There is no place where God is not, and that includes you. The power of the universe is in everything, including and especially you. And that's what defines your personal, spiritual, environmental well-being. All right, friends. I promised you a tool that you could use in meditation. So we're going to move into our time of meditation now. Let me tell you a little bit about the practice that we're going to use in our meditation today. A tool for cleansing consciousness. This is a Buddhist breath practice known as Tonglen. Some of you may be familiar with this. I know a little bit about it. I don't claim to be an expert, but this foundation of this practice is acknowledging that in our human lives, in our human nature, we will witness conflict, we will experience suffering. And when we are centered in our divine nature, when we pivot and we're in our divine nature, we have the capacity to cleanse and release that conflict and suffering that shows up in our awareness. Whatever it is that shows up in your consciousness, that shows up in your awareness, you have the power to clean it up. All right, we're going to begin this with an affirmation. This is an affirmation from a book called This Life is Yours by Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett and her daughter Alicia Whitsett. So take a couple of deep breaths as I read this to you. This is a Tonglen affirmation. Suffering, shame, hardship, I will not run from you. I will feel you. I will invite you in as a guest, not an inhabitant. Whether you are mine or someone else's, you came to visit me. I can be hospitable, but know this, my whole heart can heal you. You will leave here whole. So I'll talk you through this, my friends. So right now, just focus on your natural breath, moving in and out. Just notice the feel of the breath in your body, your connection with all that is, with the universe, being reflected in that simple physical activity of breathing in, breathing out. Open yourself to your divine nature. That expression of that which we call God, of divinity, that is within you. When you witness conflict, you can breathe in conflict and transform it, and breathe out peace. So practice that a few times. Breathe in conflict, breathe out peace. Breathe in conflict, breathe out peace. When you witness suffering in the world, you can breathe in suffering, transform it, and breathe out well-being. Practice that a few times. Breathe in suffering, breathe out well-being. Breathe in suffering, breathe out well-being. When you witness separation, loneliness in this world, you can breathe in separation and transform it, and breathe out love. So practice that a few times. Breathe in separation. Breathe out love. You've got this. You can do this. Breathe in the appearance of loneliness. Breathe out connection and love. Practice that a few times on your own. Now that you've got the hang of it, you know that as you witness whatever it is that you witness in your outer life, you have the capacity to be with it and bring it in and transform it and breathe out truth. So continue to practice this on your own as we spend some time in the stillness now together. Begin to bring your focus back to the here and now, back to the breath in the body in the seat, knowing the truth of your divine nature, this inherent capacity to cleanse, clean, release. You are able to witness the world without being limited by the world. Through the truth of your divine nature, you are able to transform anything that you hold in consciousness. And the waves of that transformation will ripple out into the world around you. We're going to close our time of meditation today, as we always do, with an affirmation. And I always put my hand right on my chest when I say an affirmation so that it's anchored in my body, in my heart space, and not just floating around like words. All right. Here's our affirmation for today. I am centered in divine nature, and I am grateful. Say it with me from home, friends. I am centered in divine nature, and I am grateful. Let's do it one more time. I am centered in divine nature, and I am grateful. So I am, my friends, so are you. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to hand it back to my friend Johnetta now.
Thank you, Reverend Farr. That's fair. I always want to do that. All right. Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.